What is up everyone, it's Saber here and welcome to another Naruto What If you end up liking the video, please consider subscribing. It's free and you can take it back at any time and it really helps me out, and this is my main channel, so if you're interested in what if Naruto had Madara and the Kyuubi sealed inside of him, or what if Naruto was Ice Guide to Game of Thrones, go check out my main channel. And if you're interested in what if Naruto was banished and became the Emperor of the West, or what if Naruto was trained by Itachi after leaving Jiraiya, go check out my second channel. And with all of the YouTube formalities out of the way, let's get into it. Naruto and Kakashi were following Pakken for several minutes as the mean dog scented. After Gaara and Kabuto were getting close, Pakken said, "They're straight ahead of us, good, you can leave us now." And thanks, Kakashi said. As he stopped running, he turned to look at Naruto, who was standing on the tree branch next to his. "We must make a plan, Naruto. While Kabuto is dangerous, Gaara is even more. I'm not certain I can stop him, not with Kabuto lying in ambush." Naruto grinned. "You just take care of that traitor, I'll deal with Gaara." "Are you sure you can? I was trained by Jiraiya for this. He had known it would be necessary. I can use Kyuubi's chakra for some special jutsus." "I see, that's certainly a surprise. I didn't know he was back, but then he must have known that secrecy was paramount." "Okay, you take care of Gaara and I'll draw Kabuto away. Be careful." Naruto nodded, and they slowly made their way towards their opponents. Kabuto was hidden somewhere around Gaara's position. Naruto sensed him slowly stalking through treetops to get behind them, while Gaara was already in half-beast form. The sand was covering the left half of his body. His left hand was now sporting grotesque sand claws, and he had a tail. His head was also half covered with sand. His left eye was now yellow pupil on a black background. His mind was barely hanging in there as Shikaku's rage and insanity were being unleashed, making Gaara absolutely berserk. "He's already begun to transform. We must stop him," Kakashi stated, and moved to the left in an obvious flanking move. Naruto took the hint and started going to the left, all the while sensing Kabuto sneaking behind Kakashi's back, but he also sensed that Kakashi knew about it, so he focused on Gaara. "Come, Uzumaki mother wants your blood." Gaara snarled. Spittle flew from his mouth. His powerful body tensed and he made a giant leap at Naruto. Naruto met him halfway and hit him in the hip, sending him aside. He used that kick to bounce onto another tree he saw Kakashi duck from Kabuto's deadly palms, and was satisfied to see two Jounin-level ninjas too busy to look at him. He made 10 shadow clones who mobbed Gaara for a moment before they were destroyed by his savage sand appendages. He made a mocking face at the enraged sand Jinchuriki and retreated deeper in the forest. He grinned as he heard Gaara roar and follow him. He spent next few minutes stopping to attack Gaara from ambushes, using mainly shadow clones to distract the monstrous genin while he cast careful force illusions to hide his sneaky assaults. Gaara responded predictably, smashing everything in the vicinity to bits, but to no avail. Naruto was almost never really close to Gaara, or he used the force to shield himself from his powerful wind attacks. He was busy pushing at Gaara's mind to increase his rage and madness, which in turn made Gaara lose any semblance of sanity. He was now fully transformed into a mini Shikaku. His whole body was now made of sand. That's where Naruto attacked for real. He moved at full speed, his whole being resonating in the force like a powerful lightning rod. His very skin was buzzing with power and he had full control over his chakra. Gaara saw only occasional distorted afterimages as Naruto's powerful fists and feet thundered into his body. He felt pain inside himself, and to his shock he was bleeding again. Despite how much of Shikaku's chakra he used, in truth Naruto was actually having a grand time. As he was running through, the world slowed down to a crawl. Gaara's movement was so slow he seemed moving at a quarter of his speed. He would close in and deliver focused palm strikes to Gaara's demonic skin, sending concentrated bursts of force shock waves that rippled below that sand and into Gaara's real flesh. It was an idea Naruto took from Hyuga's Juken. Instead of chakra, he used raw telekinetic energy channeled through his palms in a certain area. Effectively, he was bypassing external defenses and ripping at soft insides. Gaara only survived because Shikaku's chakra strengthened him above normal, and it healed him fast too. But the problem was Naruto was not stopping. He was adding damage faster than it healed. Naruto switched attacks. He focused again and dashed in a blur at Gaara and kicked him in the air. Then he unleashed a powerful torrent of the force lightning. Gaara screamed for the second time in his life as powerful electricity ripped at his bleeding inside. Sand did nothing to block the attack, it just served to spread it wider and to actually heat up. Gaara was being electrocuted and burned at once. "You're a joke." Naruto spat contemptuously at the fallen red-headed genin who was lying on the ground looking shocked and in pain. "You're slow. You have no strength save for what your Biju gives you, and even that is pitiful. You could have been so much more if you actually bothered to train all that natural healing and resistance to pain and injury. What a waste. To think that we are cut from the same cloth. You disgust me." "No, I won't die." Here I will prove my existence, Gaara screamed suddenly, and his chakra spiked. Huh, this might be actually fun, Naruto commented as he stared up above where Gaara stood on top of the huge sand creature now taller than any tree or building in Konoha Dai Uzumaki. Gaara snarled and his sand beast stretched its monstrous paw to grab the Sith. Naruto sped away, leading the monster after waves of sand flew after Naruto like an angry sea storm. The whole forest shook with the raging sand. Trees were being swept aside like toothpicks, but Naruto was still free. Gaara stopped his charge and peered around. Naruto was nowhere to be seen. Come out, you bastard, Gaara yelled. I'll attack your pitiful village if you don't. In response, Naruto scoffed as he was hiding under force-based illusion as if he cared about the village, but that was a part of his plan. He watched as Gaara turned around and went to Konoha. Naruto followed, careful to stay hidden. When he deemed they were close enough, he gathered some of Kyuubi's chakra and performed the summoning. A huge toad appeared below him carrying a huge shield and a trident. It landed behind Gaara with a loud booming noise and earth shook under its titanic weight. Naruto-san, is it time? The toad warrior asked as it watched Gaara on its massive sand beast. Yeah, Gamaken, it's that time, let's roll, Naruto said. Naruto learned how to summon toads from Jiraiya, and he proved to the man he could summon them relatively easy with concentrated bursts of Kyuubi's chakra, which he was able to use as per agreement with the Biju in his gut. Naruto managed to get Gamabunta's approval as the next summoner since he passed the Toad Chief's test. Naruto managed to summon other toads. Gamaken amongst those. Gamaken was pretty much the best toad to summon. He had little personality and was a bit slow in the head, but was very agile and strong, and most importantly obedient. He attacked with his giant trident, driving its tips in the belly of the sand monster under Gaara's control. Gaara and his beast were driven back, crushing countless trees and making a large disturbance all around. Their counterattack was a feeble attempt to smother the huge toad with sand, but the toad jumped quickly over them, landed in crouch, and speared them again. It withdrew its spear and started to use it as a quarterstaff, batting the sand beast all over. Gaara saw he was getting beat up yet again and laughed wildly. Ahaha, Uzumaki, your amusing mother will love your blood, he screamed and performed his last jutsu for the day, the forced sleep technique. Gamaken, retreat, Naruto ordered as he sensed the beast within Gaara awaken. It was true, the Biju inside Gaara took control over its form, becoming more agile and loud. I'm free, gain, it squealed in surprisingly human but high-pitched voice. It zeroed on Naruto and Gamaken, its bloodlust rising. And I have things to kill. Shikaku started to shoot huge blasts of wind at Gamaken, who dodged around quickly lest he got injured. Those blasts shook the whole forest and tore it apart. This battle of titanic beasts lasted for some time until Naruto decided to end it. Gamaken, can you rush him? I need to get to Gaara. If I can take care of him, Shikaku will be gone. I'll try. Naruto-san, get ready, Gamaken said and charged at the crazy Biju. Shikaku wasn't expecting this and his counterattack was too late. His blast of wind missed the toad that slammed into Shikaku with its shield and pushed the monster backwards. Naruto chose that moment to use the Shunshin to transport himself next to sleeping Gaara. Gaara was asleep and virtually Shikaku sensed the danger and its sand tried to grab onto Naruto, who blasted it away with telekinetic shockwave. His hand flashed, his Tonto's metal blade glimmered silver. It was a moment of utter silence. Even Shikaku was still as death. Blood dripped on its head and Gaara's head separated from its neck. Naruto's cut was perfect. New Shikaku raged as his body was falling apart. Naruto felt Shikaku's chakra fade like mists dew evaporating from the grass under the sun. The monster was gone like a bad dream. Gamaken caught Naruto in his webbed hand and set him down on the ground. Thanks, Gamaken, you did good, Naruto said to the summon. Okay, I'm going back, Naruto-san, Gamaken said and vanished in a gigantic puff of smoke. With Gamaken gone, Naruto started to walk towards Gaara's corpse. His head was further from it and Naruto studied it. He shook his head, not in mourning but in something akin to a pity. Gaara was a waste of power, a waste of what might have been one of the most powerful people in the world, a waste of potential. Are you okay, Naruto? Kakashi said as he appeared next to his student. He was watching the last part of the battle and he saw it all. I'm fine, just exhausted. I lost quite a lot of my chakra. You can rest now. The fight is over and things in the village are under control. What happened with Kabuto? I won. He managed to escape. He has some amazing regenerative powers, Kakashi said, feeling disgruntled that his opponent survived. He would make sure to decapitate that arrogant kid next time. So he wasn't on your level, Naruto grinned. No, but he was damn close. But enough about that, let's head back to the village. Sure, Naruto shrugged and slowly started the journey back. When Sasuke awakened, he was on fire, his blood was boiling, his whole body was filled with incredible chakra that made him feel so alive, so powerful. And then security seals kicked in and put a lid on it and Sasuke felt as if someone slammed him in the head with a hammer. His next awakening was awful. He felt so empty and his head was fuzzy, his mouth were dry. He wanted to close his eyes and sleep until his illness was gone, but he fought this weakness and stayed awake. He felt a distant pain in his left shoulder as if Someone stabbed him there. He was stabbed as Sasuke shot up in a sitting position. He grabbed for his shoulder and saw only a strange tattoo. It looked like his Sharingan Tomos, just 3 large commas sitting there. Sasuke-kun, Sakura said as she got up from her seat next to Sasuke's bed. Sakura, what happened? Sakura stopped checking over her idol and looked him in the eye. Don't you remember we were under attack? Sasuke paused. I remember something was going on, but there was someone stabbed me in the shoulder and it hurt. Was I poisoned? Sakura nodded. I think so. Sensei wouldn't talk to me about it, nor would doctors. You were unconscious for days. We found you hidden in a manhole with Rock Lee, who was watching you. How did I get there with him? Naruto left you there. He was getting you both to safety, but he was afraid that the hospital was under attack, which was true. Luckily the ANBU knew about it and managed to protect it. I see he left us there and did what he went and joined with Sensei to hunt down the man who poisoned you. It was that Kabuto person. Are you sure? Sasuke asked, narrowing his eyes angrily. Sakura gulped. She felt Sasuke's chakra spike up. Yes, Sensei defeated him and he managed to run away. Naruto fought that Gaara maniac and killed him. It was gross. Ino Pig said that they brought Gaara's body in pieces. Sasuke bowed his head and thought, his fists clenched angrily below sheets. He was useless while that bastard went and defeated his opponent. Where is he? You Sasuke-kun? Sakura spoke in confusion. Naruto, Sasuke explained patiently. Oh, he's gone already. Apparently he got Jiraiya of the Sannin to train him over the last month, so they became friends. I think they went together on a mission of sorts, but I can't say exactly what it is. Sasuke's heart sped up. His blood pressure made him see red. Jiraiya of the Sannin trained Naruto. While he was away with Sensei, he suddenly realized that Kakashi wasn't with them. Sakura, where's Kakashi? Sensei. Sakura was mute. Sasuke felt dread. Sakura, he's in the room next to yours. Sakura explained in a small voice. What happened? Some missing Nins managed to enter the village. We're still recovering from the VE, been asleep for a while. Tell me what happened. In order, Sasuke demanded. Okay, you did great in your battle, Sasuke-kun, and then it all went bad. Kabuto-san cast a wide area genjutsu and poisoned you. Sound and Sand ninjas attacked. It was pretty bad, but our side was holding up. The third fought with Orochimaru, who was disguised as the Kazekage. There was a barrier on the roof of the stadium. Nobody could pass through it. Naruto and Sensei went after Gaara and Kabuto. You and Lee were safe. I was in the spectators area with Ino, Choji and Tenten. Hinata-san was close too, but she became ill and was taken away by medics. When the attack went off, we were joined by some other ninjas from our village and we helped defend some civilians fleeing to secure zones. I heard Iruka-sensei made himself quite a hero when he defended the academy from attackers. Sasuke, Ned and Sakura continued to describe the attack. Not that she saw much of it. When it was over, we were all relieved. That's when we heard that the third was dead. He hurt Orochimaru badly, but he died doing it. We buried him 2 days ago. Sasuke was mute, even shocked. The third Hokage was the leader of Konoha for so long that almost no one could imagine the village without him. Sasuke remembered the man being present in his life all the time, a living legend who was respected by all. Even his father never spoke ill of the man, at least not in presence of others. Anything else? Sasuke managed to ask despite being overwhelmed by this. No, not really, we're doing just fine. Actually, you're fine too now. Sakura smiled. I want to leave, Sasuke said and attempted to do so, but an ANBU at his room's entrance convinced him it would be unwise to actually do it. It would be best if you stayed put. Uchiha-san, the agent without identity, spoke in hollow tone. You were exposed to an unknown substance and your health is still endangered, and my health warrants the ANBU guard. You're the last Uchiha. Intentions with the Sand Village are still high. Uzumaki-san killed the son of the fourth Kazekage, and we believe that it could cause retaliation. Even without that, you're Orochimaru's target, as people could try and make a move against you while we're so exposed. My sensei, how is he? He's still incapacitated, but we sent for an expert, so sit tight and wait. That's all we can do at the moment, the agent explained. Looked at Sakura. Genin, your concern for your teammate is laudable, but it would be best if you left him to recuperate. He doesn't need more bad news. Hi ANBU-san. Sakura bowed and shot Sasuke a regretful smile. Get better soon, Sasuke-kun. Sasuke received another visitor late in the night. It was the so-called ghost shift for the hospital staff. Moonlight snaked between shutters of Sasuke's room, casting a pale pattern on the floor. Sasuke wasn't asleep. He was thinking about the invasion. How he was useless, thrown in a hole with that green-clad idiot. It was all Naruto's idea of a joke, a message meant to tell how weak he was. He heard silent footsteps and glanced at the door. A shadow entered, then became more visible. Good evening, young Sasuke, the man said. Sasuke saw an old man older than his father, yet something in his stance said that Sai-man had power. The fact he passed that ANBU guard unchallenged proved that he had his face covered in bandages, his neck and arm too. It was placed In a sling below his kimono high other hand held a long cane. You know me, but who are you? Sasuke asked Shimura. Danzo, that's my name. Danzo smiled slightly. What do you want to talk? That is long overdue, young man. As to what happens later, it will be your choice. What is this about? You know already what I am talking about. Danzo eyed Sasuke sharply. Your brother has proven to be quite a threat to our village again. What? Sasuke hissed in surprise. You haven't been told, have you? It was your brother who put down your sensei with his vile dojutsu. I suppose your friend was worried about your reaction, so she kept quiet. My brother was in Konoha. Why? Sasuke demanded answers. We don't have a clue. He's a madman, and who can say what such a man wants? Still, that pointed out that Uchiha Itachi is our enemy who must be disposed of at any cost. What is that to you? I will deal with Itachi. Personally, I'm sure you intend to do it, so I want to offer assistance. Your goal is to kill him, and I'm quite happy to help. After all, it will help keep Konoha safe, and that is my goal, that this village remains safe and supreme over other villages. I see. Sasuke said. No you don't. Danzo cut him off, but smiled nonetheless. But you will one day. You may not be aware, but I had once a teammate who was of your clan. Uchiha Kagami was a good comrade of many years and loyal. Konoha Nin too. He must be rolling in his grave now with his clan so dishonored and betrayed. Sasuke just stared at Danzo blankly. Danzo merely shrugged in response. Anyway, you're the only one who can beat your brother Hatake. Kakashi's failure to defeat him is a clear pointer to that fact. Despite his own mastery over the Sharingan, it still wasn't enough. Itachi's eyes were still too strong. I want to offer my training, my resources to strengthening you for our common purpose. That is, and what can you give me when I have Kakashi-sensei? Danzo smiled oily. The brat was willing to talk, so he was already halfway in his net. I can help you more than your sensei. Forgive me for saying this, but Hatake-san is a genius ninja who rarely appear in our world. He was fighting on the fields of battle when he was a child, and he grew to be a great ninja. No disrespect there, but he is not really a teacher. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but some ninjas simply are unable to pass on their genius and experience onto others. It's not in their nature. I would disagree. He taught me much in the last few weeks, Sasuke said, looking for more information. All he did was to let you use your eyes to learn faster, that's all. And with Orochimaru's cursed seal, it will be a while before you get anything else out of him. What cursed seal? Sasuke asked. Don't worry, the one on your shoulder. Danzo pointed with his cane and smiled. No need to worry about it. Hatake-san sealed it already, so you can use your chakra normally. What is the purpose of Orochimaru's seal? There are two actually. The first is to grant you more power by letting you draw on it, while ultimately it's meant to draw you to Orochimaru so you would become his next host. What? Sasuke looked at Danzo like he was mad. You heard me. Orochimaru plans to use you as his next body. He revealed it to Hiruzen that he had succeeded in achieving his dream to be immortal, only he has to jump to new bodies every 3 years. He has chosen you to be his newest host. Sasuke's face grew disgusted. You see it then? Good. Orochimaru will promise you anything to lure you to his side so he could take your body away from you. He has always coveted your bloodline. Unlike most of our comrades, I believe that any tool we have is supposed to be used. Your seal is dangerous, but it's also your new tool to achieve your goal. You'll see that your sensei will not want you to use it in fear of going to Orochimaru. For more, you're saying you would have me use it? Indeed, in fact, I can help you develop it to its fullest level without Orochimaru's interference. I lead a secret organization within ANBU. We're called the Root. We were founded by the second Hokage for the most secret missions that can't be connected to Konoha. Our job is to make sure Konoha survives no matter what. You could say that we're ANBU within ANBU, since many of its members are also Root members. I never knew that. Sasuke blinked in surprise. Of course you don't. Only myself, its members, and a few select ninjas besides our Hokage, whoever he/she may be at the moment, are supposed to know. Regular ANBUs are too exposed, too much known, but we aren't, and we are true tools of order and peace. We exist unknown, willing to sacrifice ourselves for our home and country. We're not an exception. Every village has similar elite organizations, and Sasuke prompted. We offer our knowledge at your disposal. We know more jutsus and combat styles than Kakashi-san will ever know or be willing to teach you about. I had you watched as you train with him. He coddles you out of misplaced sympathy, and he underestimates your capacity for learning. Join my organization, and I will show you a true path to strength. I will inflict pain upon you. I will hurt you to make you stronger than ever. I will teach you until you've mastered everything this village can offer, and trust me, I know things that even Orochimaru doesn't. I was once a candidate for the position of the third Hokage too. Why didn't you become the third? Sasuke asked as his eyes searched for lies on Danzo's face. Hiruzen always had quicker hands than me, if only slightly so. Danzo replied smoothly, his mouth twitching as if he was hearing a good joke. You speak as if you were his friend. Sasuke noted. We were always strong rivals and competed for positions of power. Our philosophy was the same, only our methods were different. He was always the soft one. I never flinched from the fact that we ninjas are killers, pure and simple, to get the job done. Do whatever is necessary. That's my motto. Hiruzen and his ilk Like to think that it's important to look nice and civilized as you waged a war more often than not. He rather accepted compromises than combat, and see where it led him to be killed by his beloved student, who was an ungrateful wretch who forgot who was it that made him strong and powerful in the first. Could have killed Orochimaru back then, but he was too faint-hearted for that. Your brother forgot that too. He killed those who made him strong, who blessed him with gifts of your blood and instructed him how to use them. Both deserve to die for that, don't you think? What is your plan? Sasuke asked coldly. Danzo smiled internally. He had him recover, train for the next exam and ace it as a chunin. You will be able to apply for ANBU. Kakashi won't be able to stop you, so just go ahead. No one will be surprised. It is next logical step for you. I'll make sure you get together with my men and your real training will begin. I warn you, this is one-way street. Once you're in, you can't back out and live. Konoha's security demands so. In 5 years at the most you will be strong enough to challenge your brother. 5 years? Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Danzo just shrugged. I can't just wave a magic wand and make you that good. It has to be earned in blood, experience, and patience. Orochimaru would tell you 3 years and would hold you back. He just needs you in good shape so he can take your body. After all, if he makes you too strong, you could escape. Sasuke considered Danzo's proposal and knew something was off, but the offer was tempting, and he was right. Kakashi was lazy and sporadic with his lessons. He only got serious when there was serious danger ahead, and Orochimaru, he somehow understood what Danzo meant, and there was no way he'd risk possession by the snake freak. He was an Uchiha, not someone's toy. Still, he felt it would be too soon to accept Danzo's proposal, and another idea occurred to him. Why did you come to me openly? If I say no now, your secrecy is moot. Danzo chuckled in amusement. My dear Genin, did you really think that we are so careless? There are seals and jutsus to block certain memories, and this conversation is hardly a big chunk of your memory, so what do you say? I'd like to think about it for a while. Very well, it's just fine, but don't take too long. This isn't a game. Sasuke could only look as Danzo shuffled silently out of his room. He had much to consider, especially since his brother was back again. Danzo passed by the ANBU agent at the entrance to Sasuke's room, giving him a slight nod since he was one of his had many followers in Konoha who agreed with his views. The talk with young Uchiha went rather well since he was willing to listen to him. It did prove one thing: Uchiha Sasuke wanted power badly. He saw the gleam of interest in his eyes when he spoke of his offer, and that was enough. Just like his whole family, the boy craved strength. He didn't even have to resort to Shirsui's power. Did he really intend to make good on his offer? He did, because it was in his interest too. Besides, there were ways to ensure that the brat couldn't turn against him. Danzo frowned angrily. For a moment he believed he was perhaps the only man in the village who truly understood how dangerous Konoha's current position was. The key was Uzumaki Naruto, the ultimate weapon that hadn't yet grown into its full power. It was a mutual semi-hostage situation. Konoha needed its Jinchuriki more than it was healthy for any hidden village, yet Naruto also needed Konoha's shelter and resources, since some powerful people and other villages would do anything to get their hands on him. With Sarutobi out of picture, Naruto was almost free agent. He had some loyalty for Hiruzen, but for the village itself, Danzo had some doubts. Naruto's status and life in Konoha left much to be desired, for still Jiraiya might fix the situation. He was a very convincing man when necessary, so he decided to stack the deck in his favor for several purposes: to deny Orochimaru more power, to eliminate Itachi, and to secure another Joker versus potentially rebellious Kyuubi jailer. Danzo didn't like the report on the battle between two Jinchuriki his men brought to him. Uzumaki Naruto totally outclassed the other container, and he was able to summon a giant toad with only a single short burst of Kyuubi's. Meant that Naruto was learning to access Kyuubi's chakra with Jiraiya's help. Naruto was getting too powerful to be controlled easily. Sasuke Uchiha was indeed lucky to be so needed. Time skip. Naruto was sitting in his room in Tanzaku town, where Jiraiya left him alone in the hotel while he went off with a young woman who seemed infatuated with the toad sage. Jiraiya, being the lecher, couldn't pass up the chance to snag such a fine catch. Naruto merely rolled his eyes in annoyance and went to the hotel to train in peace. He had to admit that this Rasengan jutsu was something else. He figured it out rather quickly, much to Jiraiya's embarrassment. Naruto smirked. He knew that the older man took much longer to learn the first step. To Naruto, it was rather obvious: to explode the balloon, he had to make multiple and opposing rotations of chakra to break the rubber shell. It was much like regular physics, which he was quite familiar with, but Naruto was also seeing in his mind's eye the possibilities of manipulating the shape of raw chakra. He now understood more how Sasuke and Kakashi made their Chidori work. Jiraiya explained that Chidori was based on Rasengan's principles with nature Manipulation added into the mix. In fact, Chidori was actually a failure in as many ways as it was a brilliant jutsu. While it was almost unstoppable and deadly beyond belief, it required an enormous amount of chakra. The user had to get close to the target at insane speeds, and that in turn made him vulnerable to the counterattack. It required a certain time to activate, and it was damn loud assassination jutsu. It wasn't a guaranteed one hit and kill. If it hit, it was, and it required the Sharingan to deliver properly. Since the user had to move faster than he could normally track, he needed the Sharingan to see his target properly as it tried to dodge or block. Not that Naruto needed that explained to him. He saw the jutsu ion action. He wasn't impressed. All it would take was to be faster than Sasuke or to obstruct his view of his target, and bye-bye. He could do both. On the other hand, Rasengan trumped Chidori. In almost everything it required 0 hand seals and preparation time. It also guaranteed that the target would go down even if a glancing blow was delivered, and it was relatively quiet when compared to most jutsus. Also, it required less chakra than Chidori since it was just a mass of raw non-transformed chakra. He sensed 2 powerful shinobi knocking on the door but decided to ignore the duo who was following them for some time, since before they entered the town they were obviously after him. He knew that in the depth of his soul. Finally they lost patience and kicked the door in. Tearing it from the frame, there was one tall blue guy with shark-like black eyes and teeth. He reeked of violence and desire to destroy, yet he wasn't stupid as he seemed to be. He just liked to kill things. The second person was obviously Sasuke's murderous brother. The slayer of the Uchiha Itachi was tall but shorter than his friend by head's height, his Sharingan proudly blazing on his passive face. Hey brat, when someone knocks you should answer. That would spare you the trouble of paying for damages. He shark face laughed viciously. Itachi-san, he looks rebellious. Maybe I should cut off his legs to make sure he wouldn't run. That would be pointless. Kisame, this is just a shadow clone. Itachi spoke monotonously. It's quite obvious that Jiraiya-sama detected us and made us chase ghosts. Can you guys go now? Naruto's clone spoke in annoyed fashion, scowling. I've been left here to tell you to back off. Jiraiya-sensei is willing to let you go this time, but he will not be so kind if you insist on pestering us. We have important stuff to do. Watch it, brat. Clone or not, I don't take to kindly if some punk with no name talks down on me. Kisame growled. Calm yourself, Kisame. He's trying to bait us to go after him anyway. Itachi spoke coldly. So what, we can take Jiraiya? Kisame spoke with cold conviction. Perhaps we could, but it would most likely cost us our lives as well. No, this is over, let's go, Itachi said and walked away. Naruto shook his head in amusement. Another dead end in their search for the elusive fifth to be, and based on the places where Jiraiya searched for Senju Tsunade, she was an obsessive gambler, a drunk, and Kami knows what else. Perhaps her title, the legendary sucker, was one of double meaning. Not very likely. Naruto concluded she was old. Naruto subtly searched every town through the force, hoping to finish this stupid mission already. Meanwhile, he busied himself with his Rasengan training, which was pretty much at its end. I'm hungry, let's eat. And there, Jiraiya half growled at Naruto. He was quite irritated with his failure to find his ex-teammate. They entered the restaurant across the street, and Jiraiya paused at the entrance as he saw his quarry sitting at the booth on the right. Look, there she is. Jiraiya pointed for Naruto at the buxom blonde woman in her late 20s or in early 30s. She had 2 short ponytails, a diamond tattoo in the middle of her creamy smooth forehead. Her eyes were hazel almonds, her hair pale, almost whitish in hue. Jiraiya Tsunade asked, her voice incredulous yet not surprised. In the end, Ho Tsunade, just the person I was looking for. I suppose it's fitting that I found you when I stopped looking, Jiraiya said with a smile and sat at the booth with Naruto. Following, he looked at Tsunade's friend, much more plain-looking brunette with average physique, pale skin, and coal eyes. Hi Shizen, you've grown. Hello Jiraiya-sama. Shizen bowed slightly with respect. So why did you look for me? Tsunade asked, already feeling irritated. First that bastard Orochimaru, now this pervert. I've been sent by the elders. The village needs a new leader. The 5th Hokage, Jiraiya announced seriously. They want you to become the next Hokage. I refuse, Tsunade said immediately. Tsunade, we need you. Sarutobi-sensei is gone, killed by Orochimaru. I know, I've heard rumors, Tsunade said. I see Orochimaru was here. Jiraiya deduced. What, did he want to brag? As usual, he hasn't escaped unscathed from his last meeting with Sensei. Tsunade informed Jiraiya casually. I told him the same as to you. I don't want to have anything with Konoha ever again. Jiraiya nodded. He knew her reasons. I'm hoping I could make you reconsider. I'll stick around, but I won't bother you too much. Like I said, fat chance of me accepting being Hokage is job for fools. It's death sentence. See what happened to all 4 of them. Tsunade spoke derisively, but Naruto felt her pain. It was understandable. All Hokages were her close family or friends. First 2 were her grandfather and his brother. The third was her sensei, and the last was Jiraiya's student. Again, someone she knew very well. How, look who's talking. Naruto sent a jibe towards the woman whose real face he could see despite her henge. Like it matters what rank you hold. We all die eventually. Just because someone is a Kage, that doesn't mean he's slated to die. If I remember correctly, Iwagakure no Sato still has only one Kage to this date. Who is this brat? Tsunade glared at Jiraiya. My newest apprentice Uzumaki. Naruto. Jiraiya exclaimed proudly and clapped Naruto's shoulder. He'll surpass my previous student for sure. He looks like he might. He's even uglier and stupider than him. Tsunade smirked in Naruto's direction. Now Tsunade, don't say that. Minato was quite intelligent and real charmer. Jiraiya defended his deceased student. Don't defend me, Ero-sensei. Her opinion hardly matters. Naruto spoke dismissively. Tsunade narrowed her eyes dangerously. She was a bit tipsy, her emotions high with what happened earlier with Orochimaru. Watch your mouth, brat. Or what? Naruto stared her down. Are you going to punish me? Let's see. I suppose you could force me to drink that disgusting sake of yours, or will you pull down my trousers and give me some ass slap? And Tsunade blinked in surprise. It was a long time since someone talked like that with her. She eyed him evilly. Then I accept. We'll have a drinking contest. What? Jiraiya was startled. Come on, Tsunade, he's just a kid. There's no way he can take you. That's not my problem. He either drinks or I make him my punching toy, which will hurt him a lot more. I promise that you're paying since he's your student. Tsunade grinned. Tsunade-sama, what are the terms of the bet? Shizen asked timidly. She knew her teacher will get herself sloshed anyway. Oh, that's right, Shizen. Tsunade made a thinking face. How about this? If I lose, I'll go to Konoha. Ha ha ha. Tsunade laughed, knowing how improbable this was. Jiraiya sagged in his seat, feeling depressed. And if you win, Naruto spoke calmly, I get all of your money, your headband, and clothing. You'll have to go back naked all the way. In fact, just to see that, I'll follow you until we reach the village. Tsunade smiled. Should teach the brat not to mouth off to his betters. Jiraiya perked up a bit. Maybe this won't be so bad. If she gets close to the village, maybe she would consider staying a little bit. He had to convince her somehow. The village can't become Danzo's playground, even if it meant that he would be the fifth. The waiter brought another bottle of sake, the good one. Jiraiya winced a little. That would cost him, although with Naruto maybe 2 or 3 more would be enough. Naruto smirked as he drank his cup. He watched Tsunade as she enjoyed herself, thinking she won already. Man, she was so easy to goad. He didn't even need the force. Although her idea of punishment/bet was pretty nasty, she had a wicked sense of humor. He shrugged internally. He wouldn't lose his ability to detoxify himself via the force. Was automatic. Any Jedi or Sith worth his saber was able to overcome most poisons on their own given time. In case of alcohol ingestion, that was more than possible. As bottles came and went, Tsunade was getting nervous. The brat was still sitting upright. His hands didn't shake and he looked bored. Well, you seem to have quite a strong stomach, brat, she stated finally. Her words somewhat moved over the table to peer closer at the Gen and her boobs pressing on table. Jiraiya was completely entranced by now, his eyes glassy as he went to his perv fantasy. She eyed Naruto with suspicion. You're not cheating, aren't you? Umi. Naruto lied. I wouldn't know how to if I wanted to. I guess it's because I'm a Jinchuriki, so I'm harder to put down. Here. Jiraiya slurred slightly while drinking his sake. That is true. His stamina and regeneration are amazing. He can train harder than anyone I've met except for that guy Kid. Tsunade shivered slightly. She remembered that loud green-clad moron. She focused slightly and subtly shifted her chakra to purge some alcohol from her blood, but it was damn hard. She was already well drunk. Naruto kept drinking all the while putting a pressure on the older woman, using her age against her and the force. Slowly but inevitably, Tsunade begun getting sick, and Naruto pounced, causing her to sense vertigo and nausea more than she would in ordinary situations. Tsunade burped suddenly and surged from her seat. She flew into the bathroom for ladies and threw up in the first sink she reached. Her convulsions stopped after some moments and she fell on her bottom, her own still with her. Tsunade-sama, are you alright? Shizen asked with concern. I'm fine, Tsunade spoke, wincing. Don't yell, my head is all swollen and it hurts. I can't believe that I was taken by that snotty brat. Shizen didn't say anything. Tsunade sighed. I guess I am getting old. This wouldn't have happened 10 years ago. Are we going back then? You lost, Shizen said, hope mixed in her tone. I don't know, Tsunade said, closing her eyes. You can't be thinking to help Orochimaru. He's a liar and murderer. Me too, Shizen. We're all liars and murderers, Tsunade said sadly. That's what ninjas do. I'm going back, sensei, and I'd like you to come too, Shizen said, and left her alone. Tsunade remained alone for a while, thinking about he passed. Then she saw Naruto enter. Came to gloat. Didn't you know? I have one question for you though, Naruto said, his voice cold, and it gave Tsunade shivers. What is it? She asked apprehensively. What was your grandmother's name? Tsunade froze. He knows well, Naruto prompted. Tsunade refused to be intimidated. Why do you ask when you already have the answer? I suppose that Sarutobi sensei couldn't keep his mouth shut. That's irrelevant. What is important is that you're my cousin, my last family. Where were you when I was alone, hungry and cold? Where were you when I was beaten, spat on, cursed with looks and words, almost killed several times? Naruto's eyes radiated anger. I didn't know. Tsunade tried to say something that would sound good, but there was no excuses. She knew who was he even if she was long gone from Konoha. You were out there drinking, gambling, and whatnot. Naruto yelled at her. I always believed I had no living family, no matter how remotely related we might have been. I guess that the Senju clan never thought much of the Uzumaki family. I suppose it's just fine. It could have been worse. I could have been an Uchiha. I release you from our bed. I don't want to see you in Konoha. Well, happy family gathering. Tsunade sighed as Naruto stormed out. Tsunade, what happened? Why is Naruto so pissed? Jiraiya asked from outside. He knew better than enter in the bathroom. He is aware. Who is my grandmother? I mean Mito-sama, Tsunade said with grimace. Shit, how did he? Damn sensei, Jiraiya muttered. I'll talk to the kid. You better rest. We've got ways to go. He said he doesn't want me back in the village. Tsunade spoke wearily. She felt her stomach churn. Well, he can stuff it. Of all times he picked this moment to be an emotional basket case. I knew he was too cold. To be real, what should I do? I admit I really didn't think of him at all. I mean, I never saw him before. He said some things, Tsunade said with concern. Her motherly instincts were waking up in lieu of Orochimaru's perfidious offer, and now a boy shows up reminding her of Nawaki. What did he say? Jiraiya asked. He had it bad, didn't he? Jinchuriki are never truly liked, Tsunade said with terrible foreknowledge. Jiraiya sighed sadly. It was pretty awful. Sarutobi-sensei managed to protect him from the worst, but not even he could make people accept him. There were few incidents which strongly smelled of hidden assassination attempts, but nothing could be proven. Luckily Kakashi and some sane people were present, but civilians and many ninjas loathed him almost openly, barely hiding their feelings. He had no real friends until recently, but I think he realized how good he had it when he met Suna's container. That boy was driven mad by his own people, his family too. What happened? Tsunade asked. They fought and Naruto killed him. He had Tagara of the Sand released as Biju. Luckily, I taught Naruto how to summon my toads. He summoned Gamabunta once, but for the fight he called Gamaken. Jiraiya said with pride. At the last did he? Now he must feel awful to have killed the only person like him. Jiraiya nodded, even though she couldn't see him. I guess so. He said he had to do it. I think now that he wanted to set that boy free. You think too much, Tsunade snorted. Leave me alone now. I must recover from this embarrassment. Orochimaru-sama, watch out, Kabuto yelled, trying to warn his master about Tsunade's intent to kill him. The snake Sannin was fast. He slipped away from his ex-teammate, his snake irises narrowing in anger. So you decided to refuse my generous offer, Tsunade? Why, shut up. Tsunade growled, her fist crushing a big section of the stone wall next to her. She still had her monstrous strength, a legacy of her grandfather and bloodline. You came here to mock my family, my pain. I won't let you get away. With that she lunged at him again, but Kabuto intercepted her, his nimble body obstructing Tsunade's charge. He instinctively slipped away from her murderous fists and followed his teacher across rooftops of the city. Watch out for her punches, Kabuto. If she hits you once with her inhuman strngth, you're dead. Orochimaru hissed a warning to his protege. Let's draw her away in the open. We'll be able to outmaneuver her with ample space on our disposal. She has grown old. Slow. Use it. Kabuto was a good listener and did as instructed. Tsunade tried to hit him, but he danced around her, and her misses left enormous craters and smashed boulders in their wake. Kabuto dodged. Another powerful fist slipped beneath it and brushed Tsunade's thigh with his chakra scalpel. She fell, grabbing her leg. Kabuto smirked. My chakra scalpel got you, Tsunade-sama. I must admit, I'm little disappointed. You were my idol for so long, the best med nin in the world. Look at you now, one of the sand nin, kneeling in front of little me. To his shock, Tsunade simply healed her leg in seconds and rushed him again, this time with more care. They danced around each other, power versus speed, but Kabuto overestimated his abilities and Tsunade surprised him when she slipped behind his arm and touched his neck. He fell. Tsunade smiled. You talk big, but you can't deliver, kid. Don't bother trying to get up. I hit you with a nerve-disrupting pulse. All of your electric signals are scrambled. If you try to move one limb, it won't respond. The nerve impulse will go somewhere else. To her surprise, Kabuto actually stood up slowly, his face a mask of intense concentration. He smiled too. I have to move my opposite limbs, then it's time to end this. He slowly cut open his palm and flicked some blood at her, leaving her in paralyzed shock. Kabuto laughed evilly. Fortunately, Orochimaru-sama informed me of your fear of blood, a truly devastating weakness for our profession. Don't you agree? Kabuto went to kill Tsunade but moved aside in the last second as a hail of shuriken passed through his spot. Oh, more pests to crush. Kabuto sneered at Naruto and Shizen, who went to protect her teacher. Oh, it's you. Naruto recognized Kabuto. I heard that Kakashi-sensei gave you a fair beating. So much for being on the same level as Copy Ninja. Kabuto snorted. I was just stalling him, honestly. Who'd have thought you'd be able to kill that little psycho? Naruto eyed Jiraiya, exchanging poor hits and blocks with Orochimaru. He saw it was an even fight. He blocked Kabuto's foot that was aimed at his head then tried to hamstring it, but Kabuto retreated. Nice reflexes Naruto-kun, drop dead asshole. Naruto growled and took out his 2 Tanto blades. He was at Kabuto instantly, expertly wielding his blades, always making sure that one was ready to defend his body from Kabuto's chakra scalpels. Kabuto moved fast, sweating somewhat. Uzumaki was surprisingly quick, much more than a genin should, but that was to be expected. He was Konoha's hidden weapon. His suspicions were being confirmed. The old Hokage must have given the brat extra training, but no one could tell until now. Orochimaru-sama would want to know that. Naruto smiled inwardly. He was reading the gray-haired teen like an open book. Kabuto was realizing how skilled he was and was in process of concluding that he was trained in secret for years. Luckily Sarutobi was dead, and no one could refute such claims. Naruto ducked Kabuto's palm, swung his Tanto to cut it, and Kabuto retracted his limb while swinging his other hand from high to get his shoulder. Naruto let it come, knowing the right moment it would connect. He swung his Tanto at the same time, impaling Kabuto's palm on his shoulder. Blood spurted out of his back and front, covering Kabuto's palm. Naruto lifted his left arm despite the disastrous and painful injury, grabbed Kabuto by his pinned limb and jerked him forward, using the force to lift him off the ground. A blue orb sprang in his empty palm, and Naruto swung it at Kabuto's chest. It happened too fast for anyone to react. The Rasengan drilled into Kabuto, shredding his bones and flesh, spurting blood everywhere. Naruto's face was a red gory mask of death. Move! The force screamed at Naruto, and he twisted his body, thus avoiding a long sharp sword that was aimed at his heart. It hit him in the other shoulder. It was Orochimaru's poison Kusanagi, the grass cutter, unbelievably sharp, deadly, poisonous, mystical blade, grated against Naruto's shoulder joint as Orochimaru tore it out. You will be trouble if I let you live, Orochimaru hissed and raised his sword again with his tongue, his eyes full of hate and fear. Naruto saw Jiraiya move to intercept Orochimaru, but he wouldn't be on time. Naruto glared at the man, cursing him because he would have to use his powers and open Kyuubi's chakra. He pulled on it and his body exploded in red flames that forced Orochimaru to hesitate a bit. Naruto seized the red energy and thrust his hand at Orochimaru's body. Red claw rushed at the Sannin, who dodged quickly, and Naruto kept the shroud of chakra around him. He parried Orochimaru's blows for a few seconds, ignoring shallow cuts that healed almost instantly. The snake Sannin saw Jiraiya getting close and hissed angrily. He stabbed again, this time too fast to be avoided. Naruto keeled as the sword gutted him, knowing that Orochimaru was going to finish him off. He got ready to blast the freak with the most powerful mind attack that would leave him in catatonic state for a while, but it wasn't necessary. Orochimaru was suddenly blasted off his feet by Tsunade's fist. Wow! Orochimaru hissed in surprise. Your fear of blood, it's gone. I guess seeing you got this idiot who reminds me of someone who meant so much to us both once in that chakra. Never mind, I am the 5th Hokage of Konoha, and you will not touch my people, Tsunade said, and sent a huge wave of killing intent. Will you challenge me? I could use some exercise. That's with me too, Jiraiya said hotly, standing next to Naruto, who was finished regenerating. You okay, kid? Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto said and stood up shakily. It wasn't easy to shrug off such injuries even for him. This isn't over, Orochimaru hissed and sank underground. So you're the 5th now, Jiraiya said to Tsunade, who was being fussed over by Shizen. I guess I am. You may still call me by name, but only in it, Tsunade said, raising her fist to his face, or I'll remind you of what I'm really capable of. Whatever you say, Jiraiya said, quickly retreating. He still remembered when she broke his arms and ribs, and better not to think on that too much. Shizen smiled and winked at Naruto, who sighed. He should have blasted Orochimaru anyway. Who in their sane mind would let an enemy run freely? Time skip. Jiraiya was making various symbols and spiral patterns sloppily with his spoon, his soup cold and half-eaten. His mind was clearly elsewhere, which was strange. He was in the presence of the most beautiful woman in the world, by his own admission no less. That woman was irritated with him. That's why she scowled and hit him under the table, making him grunt in pain. What the hell is eating you, pervert? You've been unnaturally silent for the last few hours, Tsunade growled, her eyes glinting with deadly light. Sorry, Tsunade, I was just thinking about Naruto, Jiraiya answered. Tsunade looked quickly around the place they were at. Wasn't too crowded. It was one of those old roadhouses where weary travelers could stay for a night. Drink and dinner included. The place was a sort of tavern/restaurant hybrid on the lower floor, while the upper floor was reserved for rooms and baths. This one wasn't an exception. Wood was the theme in all of its brown and black variety. White stone walls and candles just completed the rustic interior. A few groups also were down eating and laughing. Some were quiet and minding their own businesses, which suited the two ninja legends just fine. They weren't interested in being recognized. Tsunade looked at her old friend again. What about him? He's fine, I've checked him out, and he's healthy, beyond healthy even. That's not it, it's what he did back at the Tanzaku. Jiraiya explained. What he off that obnoxious Four Eyes boy? I'm so glad he won't be high-nosing about anymore. I only wish I did that. I'd have torn his balls off first. Tsunade said vehemently. Jiraiya shuddered slightly. Tsunade was still as bad-tempered as she used to be, and her strength was still there to back it up. That's not what I meant. He survived Orochimaru's attempt to kill him. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. What is it you're saying? I saw it too, and honestly the brat survived only because he had that thing healing him. Orochimaru was making a meat salad out of him. Jiraiya stared at her flatly. I'm talking about the first assault, when Orochimaru came at him from behind at full speed. He may have had his arms neutered, but his legs were just fine. Think Naruto somehow dodged the attack meant to impale him through the heart from Orochimaru at full throttle, aiming for a kill. How did he get to dodge? Even if it was partial luck. Tsunade tried to offer an acceptable answer. He seems to have good senses and survival instinct, that he does, but this was something else. He moved without hesitation just as Orochimaru was about to hit him with Kusanagi. It was deliberate. It was like he knew without looking that he had to move. Okay, that is just a coincidence. I say that brat was very lucky. Hell, even killing that Kabuto kid was lucky, although I gotta say he went about it in a very creative if self-mutilating fashion. Jiraiya shook his head in exasperation. I'm telling you it was something else. And how could you tell? Tsunade challenged. Because Minato was the same. There was a pregnant pause while Tsunade processed the sentence. Explain, she said, and she was asking like a Kage would. This was serious. Jiraiya sighed. He never liked remembering his most brilliant student. It was too painful. He was a brilliant young kid, only 10 years old. When we met I knew at once he would be something else, something that no one has ever seen before. I know he was smart. I knew him too. Tsunade said. No, Jiraiya said, shaking his head. This was different. He understood things instinctively, and his reflexes in combat were unparalleled. When I started to teach him and his friends, well, I was pretty new at this teacher stuff, so I didn't really notice. It only came to my attention couple of years later when we sparred during our training trip. How so? Jiraiya chuckled while remembering I meant to teach him a valuable lesson. Since he was so cocky about his skills, I had him cover his eyes and defend himself from me and my clones. He did. No matter what I did, he somehow saw what was I doing. It was beyond instinct, beyond luck, and I knew he was different. I had him fess up to me, and it turned out that his ability was not something visible like the Sharingan, nor it required chakra to work. It simply was something he could do instinctively. He was in a way omniscient. That's ridiculous, Tsunade replied vehemently. You're talking as if he was a god. I'm not, but that word describes what he was the best. I'm not saying he knew or could do everything, but he damn could do much more than any man I ever met. He could tell if someone was lying to him or was planning to attack him beforehand. He could detect people and animals without looking. He could sense chakra like a sensor. Although I know he wasn't, he could see how seals worked, and he could manipulate them regardless of their complexity or origin. His speed, his reflexes, they all came from his ability to anticipate what was going to happen next. He could sometimes dream of the future, which explains how he had that death god summoning available when Kyuubi attacked. Imagine fighting someone who had the ability of the Hyuga and the Uchiha at once, and you'll still come up short. Tsunade blinked in surprise. Wow, that's a lot to take. And I mean, I knew he was powerful and talented, but I never saw him like that. I mean, he was always so calm, and except for his speed and that oration of his, he never seemed like he was really that strong. Jiraiya grinned. If I taught him anything, it was to hide his best skills at all times and cover his tracks whenever possible. You know how Orochimaru used to analyze our opponents while we fought them, and then he'd find a way to exploit their weaknesses. It taught me to hide my true skills from him and you. I taught that lesson to Minato, and remember, we're talking about a man who could kill other ninjas as if they were civilians. I always admired his ability to downplay his level of dangerousness. I knew you had an ace up your sleeve. Tsunade grimaced. Katsuyu-chan implied you were dabbling in very rare and dangerous skills. She said only your toads and some other summoning clans knew them. Jiraiya grinned mischievously. Sorry, I'm not talking. Tsunade frowned, but let it go. So you're saying that Naruto is the same? I take it you're planning to train him in those skills, which is logical. You know about them a lot more now. Yes, that's my intention. As a matter of fact, I want to leave now. Akatsuki is on the move, and I need every moment to hone his skills. What of his team? Nothing. They can go on without him anyway. He's already miles ahead of them in terms of power and skill. I know that the Uchiha brat is slightly favored by Kakashi, so he won't be lacking attention, and Haruno Sakura is a textbook example of medic in waiting. Maybe you could check her out. Kakashi claims that she has exceptional chakra control. Tsunade was torn. She wanted to get a chance to make up to Naruto. He was a relative after all, but he was also in serious danger and needed what was best for him. Are you sure it's the best way? She asked. I need time and privacy to build his strength, and I surely don't plan to leave him where Danzo could come sniffing after my secrets. I know he has his eye on Naruto and Sasuke, but we both know he wants control over Kyuubi. If the cripple is still after his dream, he won't get anywhere. If I'm to be asked, I'll handle him, but you better do as you said. No peeping, no wasting your time. Naruto must be ready for what's to come. These Akatsuki people all stronger than Orochimaru. I believe you have no choice but to make Naruto into the most feared soldier since his father. Tsunade said sadly, but what choice was there better for the boy to survive than to get killed because his teachers were too soft on him? Jiraiya nodded and stood up. See you in a few years. Haim, stay safe and don't trust Hamura and Koharu. I think they are in Danzo's pocket. Inoshika Cho trio will be your best bet with Tsum and To. Hayashi will do what's best for his clan. The rest will be tricky, but you can win them over. If you play your cards right, I'll send one of my messenger toads with detailed info on all counselors. All right, remember you promised to do your best for Naruto. I'll hold you to that, don't worry, I'll be good. Jiraiya laughed softly and went out. He found Naruto outside. He was doing light katas with his Tanto Ero Sensei. What's up, he asked without stopping. Moonlight reflecting of the polished surface of his blade. We're going on a training trip, kiddo, Jiraiya announced immediately. I convinced Tsunade it was necessary to train you out of the reach of curious eyes and ears. Why, I'm sure you already know that you're different from everyone else, Jiraiya said with knowing gaze. Naruto paused, inspecting Jiraiya with his power. The man was utterly calm, convinced, unreadable almost, but not a threat. How did he? Of course his father must have exhibited some force abilities, however crude they were interesting. What would you know about it? Jiraiya shrugged. I believe I know more than you do. Your old man was the same and I helped him refine his skills. I can offer my knowledge to help you, plus I've got some of my own secret moves that no one else knows. I think we both know you won't refuse. The Akatsuki isn't a joke. Orochimaru was the weakest of them, you know. Accept his offer. Darth Avarice spoke from the depths of the dark side. We can't pass up this chance to hone your physical abilities in combination with the dark side. So far you had me and your sordid clones, but it isn't enough. You need a live opponent with whom you can work. He is hiding his true powers. Can't you feel his energy, my student? He is more open to the nature and the force. I am curious, how could someone so blind to the real power of the universe become like that? As you wish, Master. Naruto agreed. He looked at Jiraiya and smiled widely. When do we leave? Ero Sensei Tsunade sighed tiredly and rubbed her temples to chase away the oncoming headache. She shouldn't have accepted the position of the Hokage. It was a nightmare. People were coming to her with suggestions, ideas, stupid remarks, and she was barely a day in the office. First she had to catch up to the overall situation of the village, then it was talking with counselors, most of whom sought to manipulate her to their own ends. At least she had Jiraiya's info, so she managed to bypass these attempts. It was funny how that old hag Koharu and her buddy Hamura were supportive of their dear departed teammate, student, and inheritor. They blew her eardrums off when they heard that Naruto was out of the village for the next 3 years, out of their protection. Of course their level of indignation was reflecting the amount of flack they would receive from their shady pal Danzo and his cohorts. Danzo, he was dangerous. Jiraiya's suspicions of his work were worrisome. Of course they were correct. Dear damned, why did he get himself killed? Sensei left her a few coded warnings in secret. The route was still on. She was advised to let them do what they do as long as it was more beneficial to the village than not. Sarutobi Sensei was one clever underhanded bastard when he had to be. The problem was how to handle Danzo and his merry gardeners once they became too bothersome. Still she knew the old warhawk. He won't be trying anything as long as Naruto was not under his thumb. Much of the future was depending on how strong the brat would become. He better be ready to take over the damned village. The paperwork was really bothersome. She was spending too much time talking to Shikaku. She needed a drink. He spun quickly around and threw 3 shuriken at the shadows of his training ground and heard a clang of metal. He threw himself aside when the return volley whizzed, followed by a masked figure that aimed to kick his head. He used Kawarimi to escape. Then he activated his newest jutsu. Chakra blazed in his hand. His eyes burned with power. He dashed at the silent attacker and was about to pierce his torso, but he vanished. He cleaved through the wood and found himself suddenly paralyzed, not in control, as he felt another mind intrude upon his own. Yamanaka, so young man, have you thought about my proposal? Danzo asked as he stepped out of the shadow, his cane supporting his weight. Sasuke fell on his knees. The mind that controlled him was suddenly gone. I didn't know that the Yamanaka clan supported your organization. Danzo smiled coldly. I have many friends, some of them were your cousins once. You see, I have many varied shinobi in my group who could widen your repertoire of techniques and give you a truly universal grasp of shinobi skills. Your sensei has copied 1,000 jutsus. I offer you 1,000 style strategies and tactics. You can't kill your sibling with a jutsu. You have to survive long enough for him to fall into your trap. For that you need to grow smarter, more cunning. You won't lack the power. I can see that already. So many ninjas today think that power is all. I tell you, it's not the power that kills, it's the mind of a true shinobi who knows no pain, no fear, no mercy, just duty and determination to accomplish what must be done. Sasuke frowned. He thought about it and he knew it was true. He acted rashly before attacking head-on against the opponent whom he knew nothing about, and he fell so easily. He was angry. It was all because of that Naruto bastard again. He was shocked to hear that Naruto was gone with one of the legendary Sannin. He was humiliated by The fact that Naruto defeated the traitor Kabuto, the traitor who gave him Orochimaru's seal. He saw Kakashi's shock when they were told about that fight. Even his teacher admitted that Kabuto was a solid jounin in skills. Then he had the gall to lecture proudly how Naruto exploited Kabuto's arrogance against him, telling Sasuke and Sakura to beware such a mistake in the future. When Kakashi was amazed that Naruto learned the prized jutsu of the fourth in less than a full month, the jutsu that Chidori was based on, Sasuke was seething every step forward for him. It meant a huge leap for Naruto. No matter how hard he tried, Naruto was always ahead. Just like that man, he had to change his approach to his development. He couldn't look at others anymore. It just infuriated him, and then obviously forced him to make lapses in judgment, as he just did. This old bastard knew it, and was showing him how stupid he was, but he also knew that he needed him for something, probably his eyes. He was curious how far he could go with someone who could work under the nose of the Hokage, untouchable, almost independent. That was something worth exploiting. Secrets among secrets, shadows within shadows. He wanted to go in there to learn how to become untouchable by his emotions, by his hesitations, by his weaknesses. Orochimaru be damned, he was just a nutcase, a powerful nutcase to be frank, but not one to his liking. He remembered those hungry animal eyes, and shuddered. And Sasuke said simply, "Good." Danzo nodded. "I will arrange for a new teammate to be added to your team since Naruto is gone with that pervert Jiraiya. I pity the boy, he won't be getting much from him." "Why would you say something like that about the man who trained the fourth?" Sasuke was puzzled. Danzo sneered in one of his rare displays of emotion. "Don't be fooled by their fame, boy. None of the Sannin are perfect. Mark my words. I admit they are strong, but not perfect. Jiraiya may talk about his teaching skills and power, but the truth is that Nanake's Minato was a rare genius who developed his own skills, his own style. Even his knowledge of seals didn't fully come from Jiraiya, but from other sources. Just look at Jiraiya. He often uses jutsus learned from his student like that Rasengan. No, the Sannin aren't great, they are just very good at surviving. Most of their fame they earned while they were a team, not when they were alone. I do not lie when I say that I could take either one of them in a single combat." At Sasuke's skeptic look, Danzo smiled. "Did you know that their name, the Sannin, was given to them by the salamander Hanzo when he fought them, and a veritable army of our ninjas they were his to kill, yet he chose to spare them since they showed amazing teamwork, but under one condition: they had to accept the name he gave them, a title of the Sannin. Even their legendary title is nothing but an act of mercy, of mockery by arguably the strongest ninja today. Think about it for a while. The truth is there's always someone stronger out there, and we all die eventually. The only difference is whether is it on our own terms or not." Sasuke was left alone to mull about some new truths. Danzo, he was glad that someone new entered his plans. Jiraiya and Tsunade may think they were winning, but he had a powerful ace. Now all it takes is a bit of planning, and the Uchiha was his to use. Now the brat was easy to push in the right direction. His mind was impressionable still. Uchiha Itachi flickered into existence upon the fingertip of a giant statue hidden somewhere as hologram, a detailed representation of his true appearance. There were 9 more silhouettes in black cloaks. They were the rest of the Akatsuki report. The leader said, his silver eyes staring coldly at Itachi and his partner. "We failed to apprehend our target. Jiraiya-sama somehow expected us and let us know he knew about us. We were warned to stay away from Uzumaki." Naruto, Itachi said in a motionless tone. His face was like a dead mask. "I see," the leader said. "You've done well to stay away. Can you tell anything about Kyuubi's host? It would be useful to know what to expect from him in the future." "I'm afraid not, leader. All we saw was a shadow clone who relayed Jiraiya-sama's message to us. It was practicing some jutsu, though I believe that the Jinchuriki is aware of the advantages of training with shadow clones. Considering his large chakra reserves, I believe he will be considerably more dangerous in 3 years." Itachi replied promptly, "Bah, we'll take care of the brat anyway." Kisame growled, still smarting from the last meeting with the clone. He hated being insulted in any way. "No, you will not. I will take care of Uzumaki." "Naruto personally," the leader said, his oppressive aura enveloping the whole assembly. "What?" But Kisame protested, only to be silenced by leader's scathing look. "You've had your opportunity, Kisame-san. Uzumaki Naruto will be closely guarded in the future. All of our targets will be. It will be extremely difficult to accomplish anything covertly. Besides, we've lost the Ichibi for some time too. We must know the location of every Biju before proceeding. Luckily, I have it on good authority that the Ichibi will reform within next 3 years. We must get him first." So it's wait and see," said the other Akatsuki member, a strange hunched figure whose body was unseen. Akasuna no Sasori was one of the most dangerous ninjas in the world and known for his patience. "It can't be helped," said the plant-like member, whose name was Setsu. "We must gather intelligence and prepare Also we must go to the ground. That Sannin knows too much already. No thanks to Orochimaru, he was the one Jiraiya was tracking right to our doorstep. Kakuzu spat. Yeah, now there's the guy I'd like to expose to my art. Yeah, Deidara the blonde nuke mean from IWA crowed enthusiastically. Can we go now? I could spend this time to do more important things than jabber about that snake freak. Like I could sacrifice some heathens to Jashin-sama. Haiden said angrily, his pale face shining with mad hunger. You are dismissed and stay hidden until I say so. The leader spoke imperiously. We will make a move when it's appropriate. Keep in mind that we still need funds to achieve our goals, so let's keep performing missions to weaken hidden villages. Suna is the most vulnerable now. Let's keep it that way. They will be desperate to gain their Biju so we can use them to lead us to it. Soon they were all gone. Orochimaru shifted his new shoulders, and grinned maliciously as he moved in his new body. His powers were restored, his old feeble shell cast off. He snarled silently, remembering that Kabuto was gone. He didn't care for the brat, save for the fact he was extremely capable servant who truly believed in his cause. It was hard to find someone so loyal yet free-thinking, capable of brilliant solutions to most problems. It would be very hard to find another one like him. Already he was losing Kimimaro to his wasting illness. Kabuto was sorely missed. Although it was quite inevitable that the last Kagaya would perish, at least he had collected much of his DNA to preserve his bloodline. In the years to come he would surely find a way to restore the dead bone pulse ability for himself. Of course, being in a new form, he had another 3 years to spend to recover from his losses. Uchiha Sasuke was going to be his one day, if not immediately, without Kabuto to sustain him as he was. He could not wait for the Uchiha boy. He'll have to let him grow on his own, then scoop him up later, or perhaps he could do it now, offer to train the child to mold his body and skills properly. It could be done while Konoha was weak. Its Jounins and Chunins were swamped. Why missions? The security was at the lowest. He motioned with hand slightly, and 4 ninjas were kneeling behind him. Instantly go and bring me Uchiha Sasuke. Do not fail me, he hissed. Yes, Orochimaru-sama. The Sound 4 chorused and vanished. The Sound 4 were the elite of Orochimaru's ninjas, and they made their way into the Uchiha district successfully. After a long run from their base, they had to spend a short time searching under the cover of night, but they found their quarry alone in the training yard behind his house. They watched him a while as he practiced, content to see what he could do. Che, this fucker's got nothing special. The girl on the team spat out, her red hair bobbing with the move. Chill out, Tayuya. Orochimaru-sama wants him. We get him. The boy to her left said, his dark eyes shining with amusement as he watched the black-haired name was Kadamaru. Come out, I know you're there, Sasuke demanded. His back still turned to them. The 4 exchanged amused smiles and leaped out to face their prey. Who are you? Sasuke glared at them. I think you know already, Uchiha-san, Kadamaru said coldly. Orochimaru-sama has extended his invitation to you to join him in his village, and why should I accept it? Sasuke's skepticism was quite obvious. Shut up, Tayuya growled. Orochimaru-sama has given you but a taste of his power and offers more if you join him. That's the only way you can have what you want, but there is a price to it. You must give up your independence for that, just like we did, and serve Orochimaru-sama loyally, Jirobo explained in his deep voice as it was befitting such a large Hulk. He'd over his comrades, resembling a member of the Akimichi clan in size. I think I'll refuse. I don't like the idea of being someone's servant, Sasuke answered coolly, his Sharingan blazing proudly. Whatever, you moron, we're taking you with us anyway, said the boy with pale features, his thin body tense. He was called Sakan. Their cursed seals activated, changing their skins that were now covered with black tattoos. Saki stepped away from them and his own seal spread over his skin. As if that will help, Kadamaru scoffed at the Uchiha. You're barely able to use that seal properly. It takes years to get used to it, and it's not even fully activated like ours. They were about to pounce at him, but it was not to be. Suddenly would burst from the ground, grabbing Tayuya and Kadamaru and snaring them in its hard and thick beams, forming a tight body restraining cage that didn't let them move a single muscle. Sakan and Jirobu tried to free them, but suddenly Jirobu's eyes glazed over and he attacked Sakan, who yelled in surprise as the massive fist sent him flying. Shadows moved and Sakan was swallowed by the massive chittering black insects that drained his chakra, quickly revealing that he had another body within himself. His twin Yukon Jirobo tried to fight off his mind invader, but ultimately he failed under the swarm of insects that devoured his chakra. Tayuya and Kadamaru were dragged away by the living wood that sucked them under the ground, while 2 masked root agents dragged the other 2 sound Nin away. It was all over in just 2 minutes. Another agent showed himself to Sasuke, his mask that of the dog. Danzo-sama sends his regards. As he predicted, Orochimaru tried to kidnap you. Danzo-sama doesn't like his men being abducted by traitors. You never saw them. Understood, Sasuke nodded. What will be of them? They will be interrogated and their seals investigated. We believe we will extract necessary information from them about those enough to help you to develop Yours to full strength. The Anbu left while Sasuke pondered what happened. He was used as a bait. He realized Danzo was surely aware that Orochimaru might try this. Sasuke wasn't grateful. He was appreciative of the protection he received by his new boss. At least someone was aware of his value to Konoha. There were benefits from his new alliance, and more was to come for the first time. Since that day Sasuke felt like he could really accomplish his ambition. Time skip. The rain was pouring incessantly from gray clouds in the sky, creating a thick curtain that obscured everything in Jiraiya's vision. He didn't mind. It made him less noticeable to the inhabitants of the hidden rain village, who were bustling around hurriedly trying to avoid getting too wet. The rain country was an isolated nation torn by civil wars that raged every once in a while. Jiraiya knew that, and he saw signs of it everywhere, but also he saw signs of recovery and relative peace. Something wasn't right. The country was still closed off. No one could get in or out. It took all of his skill to get in the village undetected. There were some serious wards around, but he was Konoha's spymaster with a good reason. He managed to learn quickly that Salamander Hanzo was dead, and that the rebel faction was in charge, led by the mysterious individual named Pain. He knew he was on the right track. Whoever Pain was, he was a major player since he managed to defeat Hanzo. Hanzo was one of the greatest ninja of the century, right there with his sensei and other great Kages. After all, he was the one who defeated Konoha's legendary Team 7, who were taught by the god of shinobi Orochimaru. Tsunade and Jiraiya barely held him off, only because they worked like a well-oiled machine. Hanzo was impressed by their teamwork, so he decided to spare them and give them a name by which they were known today, the Sannin of Konoha. Even today Jiraiya felt nothing but serious respect for the ruthless leader of rain ninjas. Whoever managed to kill him was very, very dangerous. Jiraiya didn't decide to visit the rain village. He was compelled to. His student Uzumaki Naruto went missing 3 months ago, leading Jiraiya on a wild chase. It led him straight here in the heart of the enemy territory. Because Jiraiya learned that the elusive Akatsuki might be stationed there, he had to risk the confrontation with them to save his idiotic student. He just wished he knew why Naruto left. After nearly 3 years of perfect obedience and diligence, even Minato wasn't as disciplined as his son. Jiraiya didn't dare to report him to Tsunade. She'd kill him for letting the brat go, and the council would make Naruto a target. A missing mean Danzo would try to have him imprisoned, branded with mind-controlling seals and whatnot. Jiraiya had to find Naruto lest the Akatsuki get him while he was alone and vulnerable. He was moving in the shadow of his victim, a local ninja of pathetic ability, but who served perfectly as his cover for traveling around. He was in the process of returning in the populated area when he was attacked by a flurry of chakra-enhanced papers that enveloped the decoy. Jiraiya suppressed his surprise and acted quickly. He released his decoy and leapt out of his shadow, exhaling a large amount of oil at the attacker, aiming to disable her paper skills. His heart ached as he saw her uniform, a black cloak with red clouds on it. "Hello Konan, you've grown up beautiful, just as I predicted." Jiraiya-sensei, Konan replied coldly. Perched high on the metal promontory that jutted from the wall of the adjacent tower, a figure was standing at the edge of a small clearing extending from the rocky face of the crying mountain that stood some distance behind the rain village. Its name was aptly chosen, for rain was there, always falling down its jagged bare surface like tears that would slide down the face of a crying person. Nobody went to that desolate cold place that seemed cursed by the gods of the sky and whipped by harsh cold winds that could tear a young tree in half. Uzumaki Naruto chose that place as his staging area, where he waited for his chance to enter the rain village. He was dressed in black uniform with nothing that could be noticed as unusual. His body was wrapped in a heavy cloak, his face hidden in the cowl's shadow. He felt cold satisfaction. Jiraiya was inside, and his battle with the leader of the Akatsuki has just begun. It was expected. Arranged for Jiraiya was his decoy as bait for the man who remained hidden in the tall tower while his forces besieged the Toad Sage. Naruto could sense everything for miles, so he knew where his prey was. Alone, unguarded, he allowed himself a fleeting smirk of satisfaction as he unsealed his newest tool. It was a large glider made of reinforced bamboo and strong fabric that was usually used to make sails of large ships. Naruto lifted the flying contraption by its steering horizontal bar and took of at superhuman pace. Jumping in the empty air, he plummeted for a few moments until physics took hold of him and his flying craft lifting him suddenly up and above his jump point. Naruto manipulated the air with the force, creating powerful currents that lifted him high, almost to the point where he could touch the clouds above. It was a child's play to glide through the air towards the village that looked like an artistic miniature replica. At least from his vantage point, a single thought molded his chakra in a familiar pattern, and a shadow clone popped into existence next to him. The real Naruto simply let go, falling down like a rock straight through the barrier that protected the village. He manipulated his signature to mimic the life signs of birds that were flying around, knowing that the barrier wouldn't register him as an intruder. That way his force abilities made it laughingly easy. His fall was now controlled by the force carrying him in a smooth-angled descent towards the tallest tower in the village. Nobody noticed him as he descended without sound. His cloak spread wide like wings of a mythical giant bird. Naruto immediately entered the structure, navigating its winding metal passages unerringly towards his prey. It was again necessary to befuddle the security measures. Electronic cameras would freeze for a moment when he passed by. Locks would open themselves at his glance. Security seals and barriers simply didn't react to his presence. Finally, he stood before the massive gate made of thick metal plating and secured by numeric keypad and complex seals that were supposed to detect unknown chakra signatures if someone tried to open them. Naruto waved his hand. An electronic lock was disengaged. He simulated chakra signature of his prey with ease since his target was but a few meters from him. The door opened. Naruto almost laughed as he saw his target. He was a tall, emaciated, red-haired man. His skinny body was placed in the chair-like device, but it was obviously mobile. His eyes were gray with circles that created a ripple effect. He was strong but ultimately defenseless now because his strength was focused elsewhere. Naruto could sense he was generating a massive amount of chakra and sending it towards 6 points surrounding Jiraiya's signature that was emitting pain and injury. The man's eyes widened in surprise. "You how I see Jiraiya-sensei is smarter than I thought." Naruto raised his eyebrows. "Jiraiya Sensei, what a small world it is." The redhead nodded. "Yes, it is. I suppose you came to end me, Uzumaki." "Naruto, I did. I will say your last prayers, fellow student," Naruto said and made to step forward, but the redhead smiled. "If you attack me I will kill Jiraiya-sensei." "Not if I kill you first," Naruto said coldly, but he didn't act. He decided to milk this unsuspecting idiot for information. He could always kill him later. As for Jiraiya, well, ninja always die on missions. "No you won't. I have him at my mercy right now and you can't get to me in time. A single thought and one of my paths will get him." "Your puppets are impressive, but without you they can't act," Naruto said, fishing for more info. "They are more than puppets. They are the 6 paths of pain, and I'm a part of them right now. I'm talking to you and dealing with Sensei. That is my power, and I can end his life instantly. Surrender and I will spare him." "Your name is Pain. You look as crazy as you're called. Why do you want me so badly anyway?" Pain stared at Naruto in relaxed manner, thinking he had all cards in his hands. After all, Uzumaki was thinking he was defenseless, which was a lie. He still could block any attack, kill Jiraiya, and summon his bodies. Here he had the luxury of illuminating his fellow student of Jiraiya's. "Very well, I suppose it can't hurt to try again. As I said to our sensei, my purpose is not of selfish nature. In fact, I'm trying to fulfill his wish for peace." Naruto chuckled. "I should have guessed." "Carry on, amuse me." Pain narrowed his eyes, but let the comment slide. "I grew up in a volatile era of endless war and bloodshed that took my family from me. It was the first painful event that shaped my destiny because I gained my Rinnegan from it. As an orphan I was trying to survive alone. Later, with the help of 2 others, we were getting desperate, and then we witnessed the battle between Jiraiya-sensei and that monster Hanzo-sensei, and his friends survived, and we searched for them." Why? Pain smiled slightly. "My friend Yahiko had a dream. He wanted to become powerful so he could change the world and end wars that always seemed to tear our country apart. So we asked those Konoha shinobi for help. Jiraiya-sensei stayed with us and taught us to survive. Then he witnessed my dojutsu's power. He started to train us in shinobi arts. When we were strong enough to defeat his shadow clone, he determined we were ready to stay on our own." Naruto nodded. "Jiraiya's clones were decent opponents against most low-level ninjas." Pain closed his eyes, remembering. "We survived next few years, bringing forth more like-minded companions who desired peace in our land. In time we became a powerful faction noticed by Hanzo himself. He knew we were strong and he feared we wanted to overthrow him. We didn't, of course, but powerful people always fear other powerful individuals. He offered us a place with his people, promising us peace if only we would join him. It seemed reasonable. We were still loyal." Rain shinobi. Naruto said nothing. He just thought that these people were morons. Hanzo was a warlord. He thrived upon the weakness of his land. If his land was weak, his shinobi mediocre, he would be needed. He wasn't stupid enough to let some guys with idealistic attitude barge and mess up his system and make him look bad. We were foolish to trust his word. Pain stated, his emotions clear to Naruto's otherworldly senses. "Hanzo made a deal with Danzo of Konoha to eliminate us. In turn he would help Danzo to gain more power to become a new Hokage. I don't know all the details anyway. We barely survived, Conan and I, but Yahiko sacrificed himself to save us, and that was the final event that brought me to this state. I realized that people can never understand each other to be at peace. It can only be achieved by making them experience the same pain through which they will be united. I need your Biju and all others to create a weapon of mass destruction that will sow pain around the world. After it is used, people will finally understand and be at peace. Fear of my Weapon will stifle their conflicts, force them to band together. Interesting, but feudal people are stupid and always forget, and you won't be always around to remind them. Naruto noticed. Pain nodded. Of course, but there will always be others who would want such a weapon and they will use it again, thus starting another era of peace, and so it would be a cycle of pain and peace for all time. It's the best that can be done. Human nature can't be changed. Naruto chuckled. You're one crazy bastard. Pain, I really don't care what you're after. The only thing I object to is my death. If you extract the fuzzy, I die, period, and I have no wish to die for any fool's dream or ideal. If it were up to me, I'd release the bastard and let you have him if you could. Pain blinked. This was unexpected. You're strange. You speak as if you have no loyalty to your village. Fuck. Konoha. Naruto spoke coldly. You think I volunteered to have QB stuffed in my belly? You think I volunteered for all those hateful glares, humiliation and pain they heaped upon me? I was used then. They had the gall to think it was all my fault. No, I decided to use them too, just like I used Jiraiya-sensei to lure you out so I could get rid of you. After I'm done with your organization, I'm going my own way. Konoha can live without me. If they feel otherwise, well, they don't have anyone to stop me. Not anymore. I'm too powerful now, so feel free and get rid of the prevert for me. I'll just off you, deliver your head to the village and sell them. A sob story. I will use Konoha to get you all, especially that freak Madara who's pulling your strings, and then I will be free to choose my own destiny. Pain was silent as he digested those words. He almost smiled. He just had the thing to make him an offer. What would you say if I told you that you don't need to die when we take QB out of you? Naruto stared hard at Pain. He could feel that this man was very confident about that statement. Of all things, Naruto wanted QB gone from his body. Beyond anything, QB's presence was usually beneficial, but if he ever wanted to master the ultimate Sith power, the ability to transfer his essence into a new body, he had to get rid of his tenet. QB's presence was too destabilizing to his force spirit. It was fine as long as he was alive, but they were merged together with that damnable seal that meshed their spiritual essences partially to achieve immortality. A Sith Lord must be able to maintain his essence whole and pure when he switched bodies. If he failed, QB could destroy him as his essence was reformed upon his death. You could keep me alive? Naruto asked, knowing that he could sense a lie. Pain nodded. It is one of my powers. I can revive a person if he or she wasn't dead too long. I am willing to do it in payment for your compliance. You said you don't care what happens to Konoha, so there is no reason to refuse. I have no interest in killing you besides the obvious. Give me what I need and I will give you your freedom. To his surprise, Naruto felt that Pain was being honest. He really believed he could revive the dead. Prove it. Kill Jiraiya-sensei and revive him before my eyes. Pain waited a moment, his eyes focusing elsewhere. It's done. I will have my paths bring him before us so I could revive him. It's hard to do it, isn't it? Naruto asked. Yes, but one person is quite manageable. Please stand aside. I will summon my paths back, Pain replied, and focus his chakra. While it was true that he divided his powers among his paths, it was also true he could still use those abilities himself one at a time. That's why he made them to wield all of his special abilities at once. A quick summoning jutsu later, another 6 individuals plus 1 corpse appeared in the chamber. They were all corpses Naruto saw, but animated by Pain's chakra. They were receiving somehow. He studied them and saw that they all had those black piercings. They were the common denominator. Naruto felt that they were probably conduits for Pain's chakra. They all shared same bright orange hair and Rinnegan eyes. Jiraiya's body was thrown on the floor unceremoniously. He was lacking his left arm. His body was riddled with short black rods, the same ones Pain's had in them. Naruto marked them as dangerous. Well, get on with it, Naruto snapped. Pain nodded and made a ram seal. The body seemed to be just lying there, but Naruto felt the force tremble. It shifted as if someone took a balloon and begun making various shapes while the rubber was being twisted, and noise was quite similar to time and space folded in impossible patterns. To Naruto it was as if he was staring at the picture of madness personified. It was unnatural even for him. He shifted his perception and hijacked the vision of one Pain, the guy with long hair on the left. He saw a weird-looking gigantic head whose mouth was filled with black flames. It swallowed Jiraiya's body, and then it spat him out uninjured and whole. Jiraiya was alive. When Jiraiya opened his eyes, he blinked in surprise. He saw a familiar face in front of him, but that still didn't explain what happened. The last thing he remembered was one of Pain's bodies stabbing him in the throat. He hoped that Fukasaku managed to send his message to Konoha. I'll be damned, you really did it. He heard Naruto speak, which focused him enough to look around. He shuddered. The room was dark, but he could see clearly that every Pain was there with the real Nagato, whose red hair hung limply just like he remembered Nagato. What have you done? Jiraiya asked. Isn't it obvious, sensei? I revived you. You are whole again, Nagato said, his voice dark and somehow empty. I even gave you your hand back. Why? Jiraiya wanted to know, his arm flexing reflexively. He felt relieved that he had it again because I asked him to. Naruto answered to Jiraiya. Jiraiya focused on Naruto and noticed that his current student was free. He From getting to an obvious conclusion, are you working with Nagato? Is that why you left? No sensei. Naruto chuckled in amusement. I left because I knew that you would never try to find out where's the boss of the Akatsuki. Your spies told you he was here months ago, but you chose to ignore it. I couldn't go here with you, it was too risky, Jiraiya stated firmly. Maybe, but you're still underestimating my powers, old man. Even after all the training we did, I guess it couldn't be helped. I was hiding quite a lot about me. Still, I knew you'd come for me, so I led you here to draw pain out. I planned to kill him before he could defend himself. Jiraiya grimaced. He was duped by Naruto, used as bait. He was still reeling from the fact he was revived by Nagato. His Rinnegan was truly a terrifying power, and Naruto obviously changed his mind about Nagato. What changed your mind then? I did. Nagato said. I gave him an offer he couldn't say no to. I showed him that I can extract his burden from him and keep him alive. He will be free of the demon, free to choose his own destiny as he sees fit. I have to thank you, sensei. You practically delivered this boy into my hands. Jiraiya paled and looked at Naruto. Naruto, is that true? You were willing to betray your home? Naruto smiled coldly. You are a fool, sensei. I admit you aren't a bad man, but you're so naive. Your idealism has blinded you to one thing: not all people are willing to let go of injury dealt to them, of injustice and humiliation. Konoha wasn't my home, it was my prison. You and Sarutobi, Tsunade, and Kakashi. It was easy to just look the other way as I was being trod upon, beaten up, spat upon, and I won't go into more details. You were my godfather. Tsunade was my real blood relation, yet you weren't there for me. Sarutobi had no time for me save for a few occasions when he could escape his work, but the village was always there to kick me in the face to make sure I don't get any ideas about being a decent human, being a person worth love and respect. Jiraiya couldn't look him in the eye anymore, so you see I decided to be patient and wait for my chance to pay Konoha for its hospitality in full. I guess it's true what they say, revenge is a dish best served cold. Mine has gone arctic. You can't trust Nagato to keep you alive after you give him what he wants. Jiraiya tried to reason with his now ex-pupil to see his two greatest hopes turn their backs on him. It broke his heart. He now understood Sarutobi sensei's pain. Actually, I have thought about it already. I still can give Nagato extra things that will make his life a lot easier. It will be my insurance against treachery. Naruto smiled. What is it? Nagato was curious. 3 things actually. Naruto said. I can kill Madara for you. I know you work for him, but he's too slippery to get killed by you. I suppose he won't be afraid of me. The second thing is I know where Shikaku will be reformed, and when I will tell you after you keep your end of the deal. What's the third thing? I will tell you where to find Danzo when you attack Konoha. In fact, I would enjoy killing him myself, but I have a better plan. It's ironic. Really? What do you mean? Nagato frowned. Danzo was one of the people who orchestrated the Uchiha massacre. Naruto revealed the shocking truth. What? Jiraiya exclaimed in shock. That's impossible. Sarutobi sensei would have. Naruto nodded with a mocking grin on his face. He was the one who gave a final order to Itachi that night. Itachi is in fact still loyal to Konoha as long as Danzo, Koharu, and Hamura are not touching Sasuke. Itachi's been spying on the Akatsuki ever since he joined. It was all planned in advance. Why would Konoha kill its most powerful clan? Nagato asked. He too was surprised by this. The Uchiha were planning a rebellion ever since Kyuubi attacked. They were being suspected for it. In turn, they lost much influence in the village and grew isolated in their district so they could be monitored more easily, so they decided to rebel. Itachi turned on them since he calculated that his clan was on the losing side. I guess he wanted to spare his brother a new seat of the new Uchiha clan. Naruto explained. How do you know this? Jiraiya demanded. I have my ways, sensei. Naruto laughed and tapped his temple with his fingers. So Itachi is a spy? Nagato mused. Madara must have known that he trained the boy. It seems that he was keeping secrets of his own. Can you really kill him? Naruto smiled coldly and looked at Jiraiya. The white-haired shinobi suddenly started to choke as some invisible force raised him off the ground. His whole body was levitating, his limbs paralyzed. He was getting weaker by moments. Wait, Nagato said. Let him live. Naruto shrugged and released his hold on Jiraiya, who gasped and started to gulp the air hungrily. His face was slowly losing its red color. Nagato eyed Naruto carefully. You didn't use chakra for that? Naruto nodded. I see, that is most useful. Madara won't be expecting that. Be sure to kill him faster. He can teleport around freely. He has this special time space jutsu that allows him to cross into another dimension or to another location instantly. It's nearly instantaneous. Is that jutsu based on his eyes? Naruto asked curiously. I believe so, but I can't be certain. Will that be a problem? No, I have my own tricks. He won't be expecting. He's already dead. He just doesn't know it very well. We will gather our members and extract Kyuubi. When can we expect for Shikaku to reform? Within the next 3 months, I believe. Don't ask, it's a Biju thing, Naruto said. I will tell you where when our deal is done. Of course, you may take one of the rooms below to stay at. I will finish this business with Jiraiya sensei. Naruto nodded and left, led by one of paths. Are you going to kill me again? Nagato Jiraiya asked. He wasn't afraid anymore. He lost too much today. No, you may return to your pathetic village with the knowledge of what transpired here today. I want your corrupt leaders shake in fear of what's coming. I want them to know that they are going to lie in the bed of their own making. Jiraiya Sesnii, I want you to tell them it was their own fault that their Jinchuriki deserted them. I want you to live and regret your abandonment of your godson. I want your Hokage to cry as her last living family is branded traitor. I want Konoha to tremble because Naruto will help me raze it to the ground along with every other village and nation. He will be my greatest representative, for his power is great, its destiny sensei, for we both know that I am the new Rakuto Sannin, and that Uzumaki Naruto is the last descendant of the clan that could claim relation to the original Rakuto Sannin. The Senju and the Uchiha are nothing compared to him and me. The new world will be born soon. Be gone and remember my words. Jiraiya didn't want to leave without a parting shot. It won't be so easy. Nagato ninja villages are strong, much stronger than you believe. We will fight you. I know, that's why you will have to stay as my guest for a while. Jiraiya didn't have the time to react as one of Nagato's bodies rushed behind him. It was the fat one with the power to absorb chakra. He worked fast and Jiraiya was unconscious in a minute. This path took him away into a secure cell. Pain wanted to collect his biju before releasing the man with his message. He wasn't stupid to reveal his hand too soon. Time skip. Pain, it was everywhere around him, a void in which he was floating for what seemed like eternity. His identity was washed away in the stream of agony, his thoughts silenced by the noise that wasn't there. Were no colors, no sensations, just pain. He knew he was still alive on some level. At the least he didn't think of it. He didn't dwell upon his situation. He clung on his own self-awareness with single-mindedness that was a purpose unto itself. If he let go of it even for a moment, he knew he'd be washed away by the unseen torrent of agony. Piece by piece he floated like a leaf on the wind. That was how did he know what wind was then? He felt that he was confused, but he still held on to his indeterminable position with that instinct that tells us not to let go or we would fall. It was the fear of falling that was the most primal sensation humans felt upon their birth, and it never really goes away. Fear is the source of all emotion. Fear is your greatest enemy. To master yourself, you must master fear first. When you learn to not fear, you will learn to make others fear. Focus your emotions to master yourself, because it will bring the mastery of the Force. He felt those words keenly. They were a part of him. The Force is the greatest power in the creation. It is everywhere and in everything. Anything can be done with it if you know how. The Force is knowledge made manifest through reality in all of its forms. Its energy, matter, light and dark, fluid and gas, suns and moons and worlds. Its air you breathe, its food you eat, its water you drink, its joy and sadness, loss and happiness, its life and death at once. It is he drew strength from those words that echoed through him. He used them to focus even more. He was finally able to float even higher to some unseen surface of this vast pain-sea air. He screamed as he broke some unseen barrier and he gasped. He crawled onto the dry soil, heaving and wheezing with effort. He collapsed on his back, staring at the metallic gray sky above filled with thunder and lightning. Finally, boy, I didn't think you'd make it here, someone said. The boy slowly went on his knees. Master Naruto. Darth Avarice smiled, his yellow-red eyes alight with some sort of joy. Your plan is working. The annoying fox is gone. Almost the glow around Uzumaki Naruto's floating form faded and he fell on the ground below. 8 forms relaxed while standing on the fingertips of the gigantic statue that looked like a bound man sitting in lotus position with hideous visage and blinded but with grotesque symbols and I like pictures on it. It was Gedomazo, a container for the biju that the Akatsuki wanted to seal, and a single figure landed next to Naruto's form, papers obscuring it for a moment. Konan kneeled next to Naruto and used a medical diagnostic jutsu. She looked up towards one of the people standing on Gedomazo. He was stoic, pale-skinned and with orange hair. His eyes were gray with circles forming a ripple effect. He lives. Leader Sama, Konan pronounced. What said the blonde man with hair tied up in a ponytail, giving him a slightly effeminate look. That's impossible. I thought that the Jinchuriki can't survive this process. Interesting, he is an Uzumaki after all, said the hunched figure next to the blonde. Its voice was deep and face and body hidden by the cloak and wide-rimmed straw hat. What the hell was that supposed to mean? The blonde asked in confusion. HN Sasori is right, added the man to their right, his face also mostly obscured, but everyone knew who he was. Kakuzu of the Waterfall Hidden Village. He was feared ninja by many and he was old enough to remember the Uzumaki clan. They were powerful a long time ago. I heard some strange tales of their abilities. Whatever, he's gonna die soon enough. Yet Deidara replied derisively. That remains to be seen, Pain said, and looked at Konan. Take him to one of our rooms. He might recover eventually on his own. Who will watch him? Konan asked. Mimi. Pick me. Toby wants to watch. Toby is a god boy, said the person wearing orange mask with one eye hole and swirling pattern on it. He seemed of medium height and build, but his behavior was bizarrely cheerful for a member of this criminal group. At Pain's nod, Toby sank underground and popped up out of it next to Naruto and Konan. In a second he lifted Naruto over his shoulder and trotted away with laughter of a child that received a nice toy, but his demeanor changed as soon as he was out of everyone's sight. and he simply vanished with Naruto reappearing in one of rooms that were in the Akatsuki's lair. He dropped Naruto on the bed and sat down in the chair next to it. You and your family will never cease to amaze me, Toby muttered, now in his true voice of Uchiha Madara. He gave a slight chuckle. I knew you were strong, Naruto-san, but this is absolutely amazing. I think I will have to kill you myself after all, but first I want to talk with you. He is going to kill him, Konan said to Nagato via his path. That was Yahiko's body. Nagato nodded. He will try. I have one of my summons ready to intervene if it comes to that. You will defy Madara over him? Konan asked. Nagato never defied Madara before. There was no need. It's time to show we're not his lackeys. He thinks that I'm not aware of his treacherous ways, and we now know his weaknesses. You and I together can beat him. Konan nodded in agreement, secretly smiling. Nagato was finally becoming active. Perhaps it wasn't too late for them. Naruto slowly focused and rose to his feet, his fatigue and pain receding in the back of his consciousness. After all, this was a place of the mind, not of the body, but he was disturbed by his master's presence. It was ominous. I see you're getting better, my apprentice, Darth Avarice intoned with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. It never did. I am, master. Why are you here? Naruto asked and looked around, seeing the dreary landscape and thin dead-looking tree in the distance. Where else should I be? I was always with you. I will always be here, Darth Avarice said, and walked towards Naruto slowly with no hesitation. I suppose my consent is irrelevant, Naruto sneered. Avarice chuckled evilly. Right to the point, my student. I always admired your intellect. It's time to prove if you really are powerful to become the true Sith Lord. Yes, the pupil must overcome his teacher to prove he is worthy of becoming the next Dark Lord of the Sith. Really, must we be so traditional, master? Naruto mocked his master. Some things are just too fun to miss, Naruto, so prepare and defend your soul if you can. Darth Avarice screamed in the end and ignited his crimson lightsaber as he leaped at his pupil. He was going to take his body as his own and return to his reality where he would get his vengeance on the Jedi. Naruto brandished his Sith sword, a weapon he forged in the real world. It was made of metallic alloys altered by the dark side, made impervious even to the lightsaber's might. It was of ancient design, but quite able to serve his needs since he could not make the lightsaber in the real world. Avarice taught him the art of sword combat in the dreamscape, so this situation wasn't new. His black weapon hissed, making black trail in the air between the blocking the crimson blade as it was aimed at his shoulder. Naruto reversed the grip on his weapon, letting Avarice press on as he spun around to cut into his back. Avarice rolled forward, releasing a blast of the force at Naruto, who let it throw him back while absorbing most of it, thus making some distance between the two combatants. Avarice howled and let loose with the force lightning, which flew at Naruto in torrent of multiple blasts that corkscrewed around the blonde, who unleashed a proverbial sphere of lightning that shielded the young Sith. Two forces sparked, finally producing a powerful blast that threw both casters to the ground. I see you have mastered the force lightning. Very impressive, Darth Avarice growled. I'm full of such surprises, Naruto stated. I'm sure you are. I suppose we'll have to settle this with our blades only. Avarice said that and rushed at his student with merciless intent. They met with powerful clash that sent gusts of energy around them, both combatants willing the other to die. Between the Sith, only one could be a winner. Naruto blocked his master's swift attacks, predicting them with the help of the Force, using all of his skill and ingenuity to remain alive. They moved in circles around each other's red energy thrumming, while black metal hissed, bleeding black trails in the space between them. Naruto blocked two slashing attacks and pushed into Avarice, their weapons locked together. Avarice laughed and glided aside while Naruto stumbled forward, turning his mistake in the roll that barely escaped the red blade. Avarice was unrelenting, attacking furiously while Naruto kept retreating and blocking. They jumped incredibly high, exchanging parries and ripostes, swinging and diving. It was a dance of death and life where one could only follow the unheard music and hope to win. Their fight gained a life of its own, becoming the maelstrom of their mutual desire to annihilate. The Force sang their steps and they danced to its tune. In the end, there could be only one winner. Darth Avarice became a wraith, a living shadow that couldn't be touched, his spirit fluttering like a torn cloth around the solid presence of Naruto. It came to a still their fight. Naruto tried to flee, landing on the ground in hope of gaining respite. It didn't come. Darth Avarice was nipping at his presence like a wolf that always struck and danced away from the deer's response with mighty hooves. Each cut pained Naruto, cutting into his essence, making him bleed life itself. Naruto fell on his knees. Avarice laughed and raised his crimson blade to struck him down forever, but he faltered for the moment. Seeing something, Naruto didn't hesitate and he thrust his black sword in his former teacher's chest. Darth Avarice stumbled backwards, his essence fracturing. He exploded in a million shards of energy, crimson knives that seared Naruto's flesh. Naruto screamed in pain and fell on his back as crimson shards liquefied and started to burn his skin like molten snakes that crawled over his body. His mind held firm though, and he focused on absorbing those fragments to replenish his essence knowledge of His teacher poured in his thoughts as secrets became his own. Moments passed. Naruto rose to his shaking feet and laughed wildly. Lightning flashed, blinding him. He was gone. A shadow detached itself from the ground, rising to form a shape that faded away. Naruto opened his eyes and blinked rapidly. The light in the room was bright, and he was out of it for a while, so it took him a minute to regain his bearings. He ignored the man next to him, focusing on the force and himself. "Where am I?" Naruto demanded of the masked man, already aware of his circumstances. "Oh, you're awake already?" Madara asked curiously. It was surprising. Only an hour has passed since he brought the last Uzumaki in the room. "I am now." "Who are you?" "My name is Madara Uchiha." Madara. Naruto nodded. "I see you heard of me already. May I know how?" "Kyuubi told me your name, that it was all your fault." "I didn't believe him," Naruto said, lying with ease. Madara hissed in surprise. To think that he would admit to his weakness. Kyuubi must have really been angry. "Wouldn't you be?" Naruto asked. Madara shrugged. "Maybe we'll never know." "So he was telling the truth. You are the reason why I was made into his jailer, so I know you will kill me anyway. I'd like to know what really happened that night," Naruto said, appearing resigned to his fate. "I believe I can show you the truth." "I guess you deserve that much," Madara said with false sympathy. He was actually pretty sure that the truth would hurt the brat to realize that his father was the one to do it when it wasn't absolutely the only way to save Konoha. "Damn the fourth, I will show you the truth, what I saw with my own eyes," Madara said in that silky lying tone that drew its victim like a honey filled with poison. Naruto stared in Madara's eye, red Sharingan blazing, spinning. He suddenly found himself observing the night when he was born. He saw Madara kill the guard Sarutobi's wife. He saw him take him hostage to distract his father. He saw Kyuubi get free and his mother alive, still his father using his terrible jutsu to ensure Madara wouldn't try it again. Anger flared within Naruto as he saw his father use him to seal the Biju in him, hoping he would one day serve as a weapon to finally rid the world of Madara, even if he meant the best. "You see now how he used you?" Madara whispered, poison in his ears. "I see. I don't really care." "Not anymore, old fool," Naruto spoke coldly, his eyes now gold with red rim. Madara stumbled away from Naruto, trying to end this genjutsu. Naruto laughed and laughed as Madara tried to end it. The scene changed, and they stood atop the lake in the Valley of the End. Two gigantic statues were facing each other in eternal opposition to each other. "This is the place where you were defeated by Hashirama, isn't it?" Naruto asked casually, his eyes blue again. "I didn't lose, I gained the new beginning there," Madara hissed. "I was just choosing which battle to win." "Yes, very clever of you." "While Hashirama and his clan slowly died out, you were building your pieces, slowly waiting for the right time to start, just like I did." Madara glared at Naruto. Naruto smirked evilly. "You can stop trying to end this. I am in control of this place. It's not a genjutsu, you know, not in a way you know them. You have no power here. Chakra doesn't exist here." "Impossible. Chakra is everywhere," Madara protested. "Wrong, but I'm not here to educate your primitive mind. I'm here to kill you." "By old fool," Naruto said and raised his arms at Madara. Madara couldn't escape. He was lifted of the ground and red mist enveloped his body. A few gurgling screams were heard, and the mist floated away, revealing Madara as an empty husk, his skin revealed to be dry, wrinkled, grayish, covering over a skeletal figure. He looked as if he was aged beyond 1,000 years. The mist floated slowly above water, reaching Naruto's feet, and then it enveloped Naruto, who inhaled deeply and smiled. He absorbed Madara's life force. It was the force drain technique that couldn't be taught. It could only be used on instinct. It was dangerous as well, for the user could get addicted to it. Knowledge, some of it seeped in his thoughts, and Naruto smiled wickedly. Madara was such a bastard. He did kill his brother just as he planned to conquer the world with the power of Biju. Well, no more. Naruto spun suddenly around, frowning. He sensed something, but no one was here. The world around him started to darken, and Naruto faded away with chuckles floating behind him. A shadow rippled in the water. All went dark. Naruto was now sitting on the bed with Madara's corpse slumped in the chair. He removed the Uchiha's mask and smirked as he saw aged gray skin. To his fascination, Madara's Sharingan remained active, feeding on the last trickle of his life, whatever was left of it. There was a power in that eye, Naruto mused. He focused his perception on it, his mind spearing into its structure. He knew that the Sharingan was a type of organically written seal that created effects that made it so powerful. If one could use proper viewing equipment, he'd see that chakra coils in the eye were so complex, so uniquely arranged to produce this particular type of jutsu, the eye jutsu that can see chakra, copy its structure and movement, inscribe it in the user's nervous system. It wasn't magic, just chakra in the most extreme type of molding. It was a seal array of amazing complexity and power. Although all Uchiha clansmen had it, none was identical. Yes, they all had the same basic abilities, but not exactly the same. Some Uchihas were better at casting and seeing Genjutsu, some were better with ninjutsus and so on, and then there was their Manjikyu form, each unique in shape and functions, although again similar to a point. It was just more complex seal, very powerful, but just another seal in the end, like his father's flying thunder god tech. Madara's memories revealed how his Manjikyu worked, and Naruto viewed its structure, using the force to absorb it, to memorize it. Every spin and twist was seen on microscopic level and copied, reflected in Naruto's eye. That burned with chakra, and the force guided this process, healing newly created pathways, bent and cut coils, and connecting others. In the end, Naruto's eye held a reflection of Madara's, but it was blue as opposed to red. He could see chakra now, but that didn't interest him. He focused his thoughts in the force and activated Madara's most useful ability, his space fold jutsu, that allowed him to move instantly between 2 points in space. He felt the force ripple, and his whole chakra system simply shifted, molded itself in a unique fashion. It lasted for a moment, only a flicker really, but Naruto felt a certain drain on his reserves, much more than he expected. It was understandable really. His copy of the Sharingan was only a copy, but it would serve his needs. As he became fully adjusted to it, he observed the waves under Tazuna's bridge and smiled wide. They still called it after him, even though he wasn't the hero they believed in, but people always saw what they wanted. He focused his newfound ability again and faded away back to the room with the corpse of his adversary. He snorted in disgust at Madara's slumped, desiccated form and used the force to crush his head. In a burst of kinetic energy, the head fell apart like a melon dropped from a great height. Naruto burned the remains using water jutsus to douse the flames. Later, he was just finished when Konan appeared in the room in a flurry of paper. She waited patiently until the blaze was extinguished, then she eyed Naruto carefully. "I see that you took care of him. How did you manage it?" Naruto smiled a little. The woman was secretly beginning to fear him a great deal. His miraculous survival, his ease of defeating the legendary Madara. Yes, she feared him. I drained his chakra from him. He was too confident of my disability, and it cost him dearly. I kept my end of the bargain. How about you?" Konan didn't trust him, but she had no proof otherwise. "We obviously don't have to do our part since you are alive at the moment, but Pain-sama would appreciate your assistance in our endeavor, especially since you still have unrestricted access to Konoha." Naruto nodded. "I agree. Tsunade trusts me to a certain extent. Shall I kill her?" "Can you?" Konan asked in surprise. "I think so, but Danzo is there waiting to take her position. I think he should be my first target. Without him and Tsunade, Konoha will be in disarray, but it has to be timed properly. Also, Uchiha Itachi must remain ignorant of what transpired here. I think that it's time for Sasuke to get his chance to avenge his clan." "Uchiha Sasuke can't win against Itachi-san," Konan said with conviction. "I know that, but I also know that Itachi doesn't want to win. He is dying already on his own. What are you planning?" "Leave it to me. Tell Nagato that he will find Nibi's container in Sabuka province of the Lightning Country in 2 weeks. Jiraiya-sensei discovered her patrol route a year ago. She always goes on patrols around the border to ensure that troops are behaving. That is useful. We feared we'd have to attack closer to the hidden cloud village, but this is much better. We won't be so easily detected afterwards." "But aren't we supposed to get the Hachibi host first?" Konan was curious. "I know, but I have a little something that will keep a Jinchuriki docile until it's time to extract their wards," Naruto said, giving her a large paper tag with seals on it. "Jiraiya did this to suppress Kyuubi in case it tried something. While we played with my seal, it will need some added work, but I'm sure Nagato is up to it." He left the room. He knew he could move about unchallenged since all members of the organization were already gone. Nagato would study his little gift while he studied Gedomazo some more. He needed to know what he was up against, and there was the matter of setting up the sibling death match. That was going to be fun.